What's going on, guys? I'm Bergs, that's Longy, and this is NRL Last Minute Madness, round 11. G'day, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Last Minute Madness. I'm your host, Bergs, and with me today is Longy, and this is the show where we go through the tips, the fantasy analysis, and the last-minute predictions before round 11. And what a week round 10 was, mate. Comebacks galore. Did you see any of that coming?
Mate, it was insane. It was cooked. It was cooked. I was getting bored of comebacks by the end. I was thinking, I hope this team goes on with it. I'll tell you what, the Storm were a breath of fresh air in that regard.
Yeah, that and the 30-all draw up at North Queensland. That was a joke. I thought we had the game on lock, and then we went into it and into that goal.
Can I throw it at you here? I think the stupid bench was why that happened, right?
Wow.
So you look at that bench, you go Brad Schneider on the bench, Tom Jenkins on the bench. Like, the forwards were gassed. That's why they conceded the late 2 tries and couldn't do anything in Golden Point.
No, I honestly thought the Cowboys had that game on lock as well and didn't ice their opportunities to do it. Yep. Penrith, again, just disappoint on a number of levels. But let's get that out of the way. We're on to round 11 this week, and the first game is the Knights taking on your Parramatta Eels, mate, up at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. Now, the Eels, I thought they weren't too bad last week. I expected them to win that game, but the Dolphins just had a couple of individual efforts that really got them across the line.
Yeah, Dolphins have beaten a couple of title threats this year. They beat the Storm, and they've beaten Parramatta now as well. So my credibility just drops lower and lower. We'll talk about the Eels. Look, Parramatta had their chances. They had more line breaks. They won a lot of the key stats, but just couldn't ice their opportunities. And that last play where Addo-Carr played brilliantly to get in the clear, fed the ball to the $1.3 million man, Dylan Brown, who was running down the left sideline, kept the ball in his right hand and went into contact on the last play and then dropped it. It's just really bizarre. It's a very simple play where you switch it to the left hand, you take contact against Hamiso, who's not a big man, get the arm free, you're a physical running half, and flick the offload around. So I thought he was going to score the try there at a car, but Dylan Brown couldn't get it done.
Yeah, I thought he passed the ball a little too early, maybe needed to draw Hammer in a little bit more.
I'll pay that, but he was gassed. He had 9 tackle breaks, 200 meters plus. He's creating every opportunity for Parramatta. I give him every excuse.
I can't take anything away from Josh Addo-Carr. He was outstanding the other night, I thought, and Dylan Brown just really let him down when it mattered most. And unfortunately, they only dropped one player from last week's squad, and that is Charlie Geimer. He won't be in the team this week. So Matt Dury takes his place. Is this second rower number 4 or 5 that you've tried in there?
It's going to be 5 of about 20 at this point. Okay. I'm hearing some whispers that Ryan Madison might come into the team and could potentially be on the edge. So, that might be number 6. But for this game, I'm going to tip Parramatta. I'm backing them. Newcastle. Newcastle.
We didn't spend enough time talking about Newcastle, to tell you the truth.
They're producing some fantasy relevance, but that was pathetic, their game. They're up 20-0. Ponga, oh man, I've never seen a guy who less deserves to be picked for Origin than that guy after that.
He looked visibly frustrated at the end of that game, and I don't know whether he's more upset with himself or the rest of the team. And then even in the press conference afterwards, rolling his eyes a little bit at stuff that Adam O'Brien said. I'm not sure whether Adam O'Brien currently has control over that locker room. It's not looking good for the Knights, in my opinion.
You're Ponga, though. You're the captain. You need to throw something at it. And there were times where the players had arms free. They're looking for offloads. Ponga was looking the other way. Didn't want a bar of it. You watch. Go back to it. Go to the last play of the first half. And a man had his arm free, and you saw Ponga no interest in getting that ball at about the halfway mark. The old Ponga attacks that and goes, attacking opportunity right on halftime. I want this. The new Ponga and the new Knights, by extension, just aren't doing that. So
not at all.
I've got Parramatta to win this one. I think Greg Marzu out's a big loss, and you've got Schiller and then Fletcher.
Fletcher Hunt.
Fletcher Hunt, that's it. It's a Fletcher with a mullet, right?
Yeah, it's Fletcher with another mullet. Yeah. And I've backed him to grab 2 tries this week. That's actually my big prediction. I don't love the edges for Parramatta. I know Lomax is back this week. I think it's where Parramatta lose most of their games. Bailey Simonson being out does hurt as well. And I don't think the defense is there. And the Knights' strength is their edges, in my opinion. Their second row right out to wing. And I think Fletcher Hunt can get over in the left-hand corner this week. And Ponga could have a bounce-back game as well and have a lot to do with that. So I'm actually going to back the Knights as well.
Okay, I'm backing Zach Lomax, 60-plus fantasy points. I think comes out in this game.
Fletcher Hunt.
Yeah, comes out in this game, and I think he shows out. He's going for that Origin jersey. I think the wings are a strength, so I think Lomax and Addo-Carr will both score. and I'm back in Parramatta. But look, let's keep rolling through. We can't just talk about Parramatta. Dogs and the Roosters up next, and this one's pretty straightforward, right? I mean, 76% of people are taking the Dogs. Are you with them?
Yeah, I am. Dogs have proven to me that they can win without some of their best players, and nothing was more evident than last week. That 32-point comeback. I think maybe some fans might want their money back down in Canberra because all the action and all the tries happened at one end of the field.
Yeah, brutal.
And for the Raiders, it was a complete capitulation. But you got to give credit to the way Critter stood up. In my opinion, he almost needs to be the first guy that you put into that Blues team, like ahead of Latrell, ahead of Turbo. I don't care about how those players have played for us in the past. Right now, this second, Stephen Crichton is almost my first pick guy for New South Wales.
I'll take it a step further, and I've been saying this since the preseason. He's my Blues captain.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
I've been saying this for ages, man. Like, he's the guy who I've thought he was guaranteed that spot no matter what. Like, he's the first chosen. He's the best defensive center in the comp. Comes up clutch in big moments. Look, I wasn't the biggest Stephen Crichton guy early in his career. I had vivid memories of that Wanga Blake try.
Yes, yeah, the Parramatta.
I'll tell you what, I just can't deny it at all anymore. Like, so he's that guy. You make him captain, right? He's going to be in the team for another 5 years. You don't give it to Cleary. He hasn't mastered that arena yet.
I find a weird guy to get behind too.
Yo's 30. We're 30. We know how that feels. Like, he's not going to be the starting lock for much.
Critter has done so much to this point in his career, and he's 24 years old.
I'm saying, like, you make him the captain now, and he's the captain for 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, maybe more, right? So you make that move. But let's get into this game here because I've got the Dogs as well. I've got Viliami kick out over 50 fantasy points in this game. I think he shows out in this one, and Preston's out. So they're attacking via kick out quite a bit right now, and I think it's going to continue.
Yeah, I also have the Dogs winning in this game, but I expect the Roosters to throw the ball around a lot. They've been nothing but attack this year. And they lack a lot on the defensive end, so I think they'll get 10-plus offloads but still lose this game quite comfortably. And then we move on to the next game, and it is the Dolphins versus the Wars. Now, the big matchup, I do want to talk about this for a moment. Metcalf and Isaiah Katoa now. Yeah, so these two guys are playing some phenomenal football, and both of them are so young into their careers as managing number sevens, game managing a team, trying to lead them around the park, and both of them are doing it so well right now.
Yeah. They're legit, man. They're legit. Isaiah Katoa in particular, like, every year he's been developing further and further. Metcalf, I think he's still finding his exact identity. Like, he's been fantastic, but he's been great in different ways every week. That's the thing about him. Like, he has these games where he's just an explosive dynamo. He has games where he dominates in sort of base stats and he's sort of steering the team around. And I think he's still figuring out what role he is going to play in that team long term. I think him and CHT as well, like, they have a nice little balancing act where
they do.
When he goes off the beaten path a bit and plays attacking footy more than anything, CHT kind of steers them around. So, we're seeing them go well. We're seeing Egan showing out too. Do you go the Warriors on the back of that, or are you taking an upset here?
Well, I got lambasted for not taking the Warriors last week.
Our debate though?
Yeah, I do.
Who got the win?
You definitely got the win, but there's one thing I will say with the Warriors. I'm going to get on them this week, but there's one thing that I want to highlight is how long can they keep winning games by very close scores? They've won 5 games so far this year by less than 8 points.
What's their points differential?
It's not phenomenal. I should look that up.
Are you sure they're third or something, and it's like +2?
Like, yeah, it definitely shows in that regard, and I think that is the reason I was saying they're overperforming. They're all the wins that they're having are a bit overblown.
Mate. You don't have to justify it.
I feel like I do. I'm not a Waz hater. I never have been, actually. They're one of my favorite teams.
He's not a Waz hater. He's not a Waz hater. I'm with you though. I think they get the win here. Fisher Harris is a big addition. You lose Jackson Ford, who's a bit of a loss, but RTS on the extended bench as well. I will say though, I would consider the Dolphins upset if RTS doesn't come in, because I think Herbie versus Capewell is a scary matchup.
I thought Herbie versus Valentine Holmes versus Capewell would have also been the same, and he shut him down pretty effectively, I thought.
Val's a bit less present than Herbie though. Like, Herbie comes out every week and pumps it. Herbie also, for fantasy, 90+ in both games against the Warriors last year.
Wow.
Right? So he's got form against the Warriors. I'm backing him, by the way, 90+ again in this game.
I'd say that the Warriors aren't the same team that they were last year. I'm seeing a lot of strength, especially in the middle and around their defensive sets when the other team's coming out of trouble. Yep. They put the pressure on quite effectively. I'm backing Lika Halasima again to grab a try this week. He's been a try-scoring machine.
Yeah.
And I just I just want him to get that starting role, even with Capewell being in the centres right now. And if RTS comes back in, that probably means that he'll move back to the bench. And it's disappointing because I haven't been super coach. But I just love what this kid's doing each and every week. And Metcalf's helping him come along brilliantly as well. And we'll move on to the next game because it's my team.
Yep.
And a bit of a change in the halves this week between the Cowboys and the Manly Sea Eagles.
Yeah.
Todd Payton has kind of seen the opportunity, and it's been an opportunity that I've been calling for a little bit. More to get rid of Clifford, but to bring in Tom Duffy. Did I not think at all that he was going to shift Jackson Purdue to the halves this week? And that could mean absolute nightmares for the Seagulls this
Purdue's
week.
a stud. I'm a big Purdue fan, obviously. Had him in fantasy from round one.
Yeah,
I thought he might
kept the faith.
I thought he might take longer to develop than this. Like, obviously, he always had the talent, which is why he's in my team. Wasn't going to sell him, but he's kicked on. He's dynamic, and he's a little bit Fletcher Sharp.
He is, yes. I get you.
We've seen how Fletcher Sharp's played. Now, my one concern here is Clifford's been the dominant kicker at the Cowboys, so 300 kick meters a game. Purdue in reserve grade was pumping out about 100. Dearden's not that kind of player. Like, he's a great player. He's not that guy.
Drinky's going to have to do a lot
That's
of
what I was going to say. So it's going to be Drinkwater playing that Latrell role. The issue with that role is it does encompass a bit of responsibility. It means he's not going to be as available in attack. So I just hope they get that balance right. I think it takes a week to figure it out. And I'm going the upset with Manly. Yep. Only 37% of people doing it. I also think Turbo, not in the Origin side. I don't think he's even close. There's all this chat that he's going to be there.
Yeah.
He's not even close to my Origin team. And I think he hears that noise and maybe shows up for this one.
I think you can't pick him. And Turbo always turns up against us in fantasy, Supercoach. If you go back and look at some of Turbo's best games, it's against the Cowboys. And he'll probably want to show Laurie Daly as well, as you said, that he can still perform. But I wouldn't be picking him at all if I was Laurie Daly. But I've also backed Hamole Olakawatu to get 6 tackle busts in this one. Ooh. I just think that Purdue will play on the left side, and so he's probably going to be having Olakawatu run at him all night, and that's not something that I want.
I don't love that.
One in from where he's normally been defending. He's going to be next to Nanai as well. Nanai, as we know, not the best defender, will put him under a lot of pressure. Yep. I just don't love that for Jackson Purdue, and unfortunately, I agree with you in saying that it's going to take a week, and I've also tipped Manly.
Yeah, but you got to be patient, right? So, just look for the good signs. Manly cooked the Cowboys too, round one. Everyone's forgetting about that and tipping the Cowboys on recent form, but Manly are still that same team. They'll show up. Then Sharkies v Storm. This one, 20% on the Sharks, 80% on the Storm. Look, the Storm won 64-0 last week. The Sharks won as well against a solid Manly side.
I thought they won well in the end.
I mean, the Sharks, I'm a Sharks.
I thought Blindside blew it a little bit out of proportion, calling the NRL and saying that they needed more competition. But
look, I'm a Sharks lover, mate. But I've got to say, there's not many teams, Newcastle, obviously above them, but there aren't many other teams that play footy less passionately than Cronulla this year. I feel like the last 5 years, their identity has been that they smash teams and they play fun footy and they run up scores and, on a flat track, they're real bullies. Like, they struggle in those big games. I feel like this year they're just kind of going through the motions. Like, it feels like they're tired.
Yeah, a little bit. I'll agree with you a little bit. I would say that one thing that they have worked on is their defense. Their defense is actually one of the best in the comp right now. If you look at it on paper, I think it's third best in the comp at this point in time. And I think that's where they need to be.
Kind of boring there, right?
But it's something, it is something that they needed to do in order to become a more genuine premiership threat. The problem with that is their attack has been extremely clunky. And you're right. Yep. Like, every time a team comes back on them a little bit and gains a bit more momentum, they struggle for a while in the game to stop it. And we saw it against the Tigers. We've seen it in other games this year where they can't stop the rot. And I really thought that was going to happen again on the weekend. And I was panicking because I tipped the Sharks and I needed it for like a 4 out of 8. That's all I needed it for. But, man, the Sharks side, I will say, though, I thought Nico Hines played his best game on the weekend that he's played this season. But it's taken him a while to just get to that level even. I'm wondering, is it going to take him all season to get to this elite level that we saw him at 2 years ago?
Yeah. I mean, that running game's been sort of come and go a bit. He's not the dominant kicker anymore.
He's not.
And just that role feels so inconsistent. Trindle's not getting much
attacking stats either. No.
Yeah. So I'm just sort of looking at it like, I don't know. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's working. It looks great. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think it does at all. I think we see these 20-minute pockets where Hines looks fantastic and then
I think Fanua Blake's a little bit hurt too because he's not
hurt,
he's not playing
100%.
as many minutes as he was round 1, round 2. I think it went back to maybe 55
not
minutes,
fighting
something like that.
Either. Like,
No.
I'm with you there completely.
And I think in this one they're going to be behind for a lot of the games. So my big prediction is that he's going to throw 5 offloads this week.
Wow. He's had 1 in the last 2 weeks.
I understand that, but
big call.
I do think that this Storm side will get on top early. They always do, like against every team. But they have had a bit of an attitude this year where they've let other teams come back into the game. Admittedly, they didn't do it on the weekend. But is that the exception or the rule that we're going to go with now after one game?
I think they've learned that lesson. So I'm going to go the Storm here. I'm going to go Jerome Hughes over 50 fantasy points. He's done it once this year. I think he'll do it again. I think he'll cement himself as around 13 by in fantasy. But I got the Storm. Then we head into Sunday. And we got the Broncos, Dragons, Raiders, Titans, West Tigers versus Rabbitohs. So Broncos, Dragons, 25% of punters have gone with Dragons here. Big upset. Is it a love of the Dragons, do you think, or is it a lack of faith in the Broncos?
Oh, it's definitely a lack of faith in the Broncos. I don't think you could love the Dragons at all after their last couple of performances. But you could say the same for the Broncos. Both of these teams really need a win right now. They've, I think, not won for maybe a month.
I think both had a good half of footy last week. They both had a good half where they got 14 points.
They haven't won in May, put it that way, at this point in time. And Mam comes back into the side this week. He's going to be paired up with Xavier Willison. They will go against Flanagan and Sewer this week.
Big chance that Pierre Kura comes in on that edge.
Yeah, they've been tampering with that, but I don't love Pierre Kura. I don't think he offers that much to tell you the
my
truth.
prediction then.
Why? Are you backing Pierre Kura to have a big game?
Pierre Kura 50+ fantasy points,
mate. That's not happening.
That's it. He's getting it done.
No,
he's scoring a try in this game. Pierre Kura.
Wow.
He's going over, crashing over. I'm going to say the Broncos win. By the way,
are you going to say is Ezra going to assist a couple of those? Because I've got him to get 2 try assists back.
Okay. Well, if we're on the same edge, then that could happen. But I think the Broncos come into this one, and they sort of like last week. I felt like it was before they conceded any points. It felt like the 2015 grand final. They got their 14-0 lead, and they parked the bus. And I was watching Payne Haas not offload, and all this other stuff. And it's like, I'm not putting this on Payne Haas, by the way, but their attack was just so dry, and they're just kicking for touch. It's like, boys, you got 50 minutes to go here, and you're up against Latrell Mitchell. You've scored 14 points. Job's not done. Job's not finished, as Jason Tatum would say. But it's a bit of a different one. But
prayers up for Jason Tatum.
Yeah, I think I'm more talking about when he won the.
I'm more talking about his recent injury, but
it's not great. It's not great. But look, for the Broncos, I think they come into this one. Madge will have totally destroyed them this week and just been like, "You guys, put your shirts on. You're wearing a second, third, and fourth shirt at training this week." And let's get into this one.
Let's sweat it out.
Okay, go to the sauna, boys.
Yeah, no, I think also Madge he's running that fine line right now where he could go down the route of losing the playing group, and we've seen if people come hard at this Broncos side, they've got a couple of young guys in there that don't particularly love being told what to do. We saw it with Kevy, and he took the stand back approach, whereas Madge is more on you. And certain players respond to that, certain players don't. I think Madge is one of those guys. I will move us on to the next game, and it is the Raiders taking on the Titans. Now, the Raiders, everyone was talking about them last week being this genuine premiership threat. They go into the game against the Dogs, and for 40 minutes, it looked fantastic. They looked like a top 2 side. They were playing with freedom. Yep. The Dogs were giving them all the space in the world. And then what was the next 40 minutes? Like, where did it go?
I mean, Stephen Crichton woke up.
The Faders came back.
Yeah, but that was Critter's. You can't say it's his best game ever, but that was his best attacking game I've ever seen. Like the way he played in that game,
he took on responsibility.
But I haven't seen that gear from him before. Like we've seen him play great games of footy. I haven't seen that. Like that was insane. And maybe look, he's 24, like you said. Maybe he's unlocking another level, which is scary. And
scary,
as a Blues fan, I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but for this game here, Raiders v Titans, 10% of people are Titans. 10% of people haven't learned their lesson. I'm considering becoming one of those 10%. Are you on the Titans here, or are you a Raider?
Not at all. I think we saw this about a month ago as well. The Titans got out to a good lead, and the Raiders ran them down. I don't think the Raiders will make that mistake again. They are at home again. I don't think they'll lose 2 games in a row at home. This Raiders team's too good. And I think Zach Hosking is a great replacement for what Matty Nicholson's been doing. He originally started there as well. So it's it's not like anything changes for the Raiders. They just need to pick up their attitude and maybe not think that they have games won at the 40-minute mark.
I'm going to think about a Titans tip here. And
they won last week, and it was pretty like that was their win.
No, they haven't been good, but it's a 5-point tip, and I try to take one 5-point tip every week on TBC.
I think this is the only one this week.
Yeah, well, there's the Dragons are a high point tip as well. I've got the Manly upset.
So the Sharks.
I didn't take the Roosters, but I'm going to go with the Titans here and just bet on Jaden Campbell, really. You get Kieran Foran back on the bench as well. There's a chance that he comes in to start. Brimson goes to fullback. It sounds like it's not going to be that, but that's a possibility as well. I think that helps them. Big Tino's there. Mo Wake is playing for an Origin jersey, right? But I guess Horsbury is
gets
too.
it, but
he's playing for one though, right? Mo Firma is as well. If Dave Fafita was playing, I'd feel a bit better. I just think, I think Canberra win, but for 5 points, I'm going to get on the Titans.
Yeah, that's right. Scraping the bottom of the barrel, trying to figure out how the Titans can win this game. I think Hudson Young gets another 2 tries this week. That's my big prediction.
So we're both going back rows. I've got a Hosking 70+ fantasy points.
There we go. We've got Raiders dominating the game.
Well, the Hosk just gets.
Just the Hosk. Yeah. Last game of the round is the Tigers versus the Rabbitohs. Now the Tigers abysmal last week. I thought the Toothless Tigers, it was over. I thought it was done. That was the 2022 to 2024 period, and they showed me last week that they aren't ready to take that next step. And for everything good that we said about Crichton, about how he's leading his team and how he's taking on the game and he's taking responsibility, that is all the stuff that Luai, to me, is talking about doing, but not actually doing. And on the weekend, I know we can't really blame a 64-point loss on one guy, but
you could try.
The attitude wasn't there. Yeah. From the fourth minute when Pappenhausen had no right to score that try, he got to the ball before, I think 3 Tigers players were in the area, and they gave up on it. And Pappenhausen just wanted it more, and he scored. From that moment, I was like, well, this is going to be a drubbing. Like, I may as well turn this off now. And I should have, but I watched the full 60-point smashing. Wow. So, this Tigers team, man.
I feel bad. So, Dad, hardcore Tigers fan, and we actually went out for lunch, and I saw the score after 10 minutes. It was like 12-0. And I looked down again, it was 18-0. He goes, I'm going to watch the game when I get home. I'm like, if the Tigers lose like 100-0, do you want me to let you know that you don't have to watch it? He's like, no, they won't lose by that much. And he went home and he watched by himself. They'll lose 64-0 on delay. So the poor man's copped that. But for the Tigers, I want to tip him in this one.
I think they turned it around as well.
Yeah, I want to tip him. I can't really justify it. I think one big and last week, I'm writing off last week. Starford Toa comes in. Starford Toa and Lockie Galvin has been lethal. That's been a lethal combination. And no one's really, in fantasy, everyone sees it. But outside of fantasy, no one's really talking about it. I just reckon, Toa, he just runs such a nice straight line. He's such a physical guy. And Galvin sort of straightened things up as well. So I think they're a great combo together. We've seen Galvin sort of struggling with, other centers like Dewey and Staines has come in and other guys. And I think Toa sort of helps him out.
His big problem is Taruva. I think Taruva's still coming in and making really awful decisions in defense. And there is at least, I think, a try a week or even 2 tries at that on Taruva's edge. And they tore him up last week. I thought the Storm, but that's the Storm. The Rabbitohs have a lot of players out, a lot of guys still out. But the one thing that is making me want to tip the Rabbitohs is Jamie Humphries, because he seems to be the winning factor for them right now. The games that he plays, they tend to win.
Much last week.
I know he didn't do too much, but he's in the team, and I think he actually helps guys like Latrell be who they need to be.
Yeah, that is scary. And Latrell trying out for Origin as well. He'll show out in this game.
So is Luai.
I still reckon, but we've said this. Luai I haven't seen a game where I've been like, oh damn, Luai's $1 million player. There hasn't been one of those this year. It's been a lot of.
It's been one of those in his entire career. But anyway.
Oh, no. I'll counter this. Samoa, yes.
And
also, when Cleary was out last year, he was different. He was really good in that period.
Maybe he needs to play every game like he has Cleary out.
I think he needs to, and I talk about this so much, right, in fantasy. He needs to run the ball 100 meters. It's a really simple game, and if Luai runs the ball 100 meters, he will create a couple of tries. That's just how it happens. And I get, I'm going to get roasted in the comments a bit.
But he's so much like
he's such a good ball runner.
Benji as well.
Such a good ball runner.
But he can be like Ben. Benji used to do that. Benji used to threaten the line with his footwork and running game.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why he hasn't taught his prime half, who has a lot of similar skills, to do that.
And he's good at that. He's actually not a great organizational 7.
Not at all.
So I don't know why he's trying to play that role. Galvin also does take on a bit of that responsibility too. So that they should, Galvin, we're seeing Galvin attack.
Yeah.
I don't think we're seeing it from Luai, and he can do it. Like, that's the thing. It's frustrating because he can do it, and we've seen him do it before.
Yeah, I think I heard them talking about on NRL 360 that they have to pick Luai because he's a pure 6. And I'm like, well, he hasn't been playing 6 this year, so I don't know if that's why we need to pick him.
I would say, and again,
I won't be picking him.
100-meter rule, man. Like,
I wouldn't be picking
Nathan
him.
Cleary pumps out 120 meters a game on the ground. Like, he's a running half.
Yeah.
And everyone doesn't acknowledge that because he's everything
Imagine
else.
Cleary at 6.
Cleary and Moses. And I would say Moses 7, by the way.
Yep.
Because Moses came through the juniors as a 6, by the way. He was the 6 next to Brooks. He's played a bit of fullback as well. Like, he can play, but I think they could both play that hybrid role. You get one kicker on each side of the ruck. Like, it would be unstoppable in Origin.
BS about them fighting over whose team it's going to be and all that sort of crap. It's like, oh, whose team
Moses
will it be?
won't care at all. That dude just
Moses
doesn't
winning,
care. He just likes winning. He'll come in.
You look at game 3 last year. I think Moses was a less dominant half than Luai, but Luai came up with a great play, and so did Moses. To
that running play though.
Anyway, I think
he won the game on the ground. But yeah,
we're getting a little bit off topic.
Let's nail this one though. I've got you and Aitken over 60 fantasy points in a Tigers win.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a Tigers win as well, but I think this game will be very gritty. A lot of defense. I think the defense will sharpen up from last week for both these teams. So under 40.5 total match points is what I have. Unfortunately, it's going to be a dour Sunday afternoon. But what won't be dour is when we see you guys next week. But if you like the channel, please make sure that you like and subscribe. We put out so much content each and every week. I'm Bergs. That's Longy. We'll catch you on the next one.